the Supreme Court plans to release more decisions this morning, and there are a lot of big issues to be decided. Not a lot of time left for the justices to do it. Jan Crawford's at the Supreme Court, where she's going to show us what might be released today. Jan, good morning.
Well, good morning, Tony. Yeah, there's 21 cases left in the Supreme Court's term. We're going to get a few of those later this morning. We don't know which ones, unfortunately. But the biggest one left, of course, is that one involving former President Donald Trump and whether he is immune from prosecution for his alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Separately, the court's got another case on whether Trump, along with several hundred other January 6 defendants, can be charged with obstruction. That carries a 20-year prison sentence. There's also another case on abortion coming off the court's recent decision that refused to limit the availability of that so-called abortion pill. This one looks at abortion access and emergency room care. And then there's another gun case. Last week, the justices said it was up to Congress to ban bump stocks, but they still have to decide this case about a gun ban for people who are under domestic violence restraining orders. There are also big cases on social media and free speech. There's a challenge to a bankruptcy plan involving a big company that is considered responsible for the opioid crisis and whether that can go forward. I mean, all of this, Tony, and more coming up this week and the following week. They're hoping to wrap up by early July.
You know, Jan, while we have you there, I want to get you on the record with this situation in Louisiana. There's a law there. It feels like it's headed for the Supreme Court. The state will be the first in the country in decades, I think since Kentucky in 1980, to require the 10 Commandments be displayed in every public school classroom. And the ACLU vows to file a lawsuit. They've said, quote, the law violates the separation of church and state and is blatantly unconstitutional. But the governor there in Louisiana says, I can't wait to get sued. So, Jan, what's the precedent here? Is there one for a law like this going before the Supreme Court?
Yeah, I mean, the court 40 years ago overturned a similar law from Kentucky. It has allowed, 10 Commandments displays in some public parks, but that's part of like a bigger historical display. So, I mean, this seems blatantly unconstitutional. I mean, that's totally different. A public park with a bunch of other stuff around it as a historical display than in a classroom where kids are required by law to be, and the government is saying that the 10 Commandments have to be a central focus. Now, Tony, some people are saying, well, that was 40 years ago, and this is a new conservative court. And it's true. I mean, this is a court that is letting people, have more religious expression in public life. But that is different than the government telling public schools that they have to put in a display, a 10 Commandments display, whether it's a Christian display in this case, but a Muslim display, a Jewish display, where school kids have to be by law.
Yeah, we'll be talking about this one for sure. Jan, thank you very much.